Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It is Alex yet again, and I am excited this morning or this afternoon. Looking at my clock, yes, this afternoon. Had a great day of church today. Hung with the fam a little bit and talked to my mother and got some of the snow out from outside. So it's been quite a not I won't say eventful, but a pretty typical Sunday. Uh, Today, I am going to go back over what we left off with in the last video. Whenever you're a dev, and you're doing development work, or you're a software engineer, you're doing work, the best thing to do, oftentimes, if you're trying to face a problem that you just can't figure out, is to take a step back. Take a step back, refresh, regroup, get something to drink, you know, brain drain for a little bit, attack the problem from a different angle. Hold on here, son. Sounds like somebody just pulled into my driveway. And no, they didn't. Oh, it's my neighbor over there. Um, so the problem that we had in the last video was our Dapper ORM class was not allowing us to grab the information from our SQL database hit. And we were wondering what the heck is going on here, right? Well, what we had to do was we had to create our SQL query, and we had to cast all of the information the right way. So we had to make everything strings, and everything had to be numeric properly. And then the last thing we had to do, we had to make sure that our model matched what we were getting back from the database. Uh, it's been about a year, uh, almost a year, since I've last used Dapper. And so that fact came back to me after a while. So what I did was I went ahead and made some changes to our schema. So let's go ahead and launch our SQL Server Management Studio, and we'll also launch our Visual Studio at the same time. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute once I show you what exactly the problem was. So that's coming up there, and hopefully everyone's had a blessed day and good night and everything, and everybody's staying safe from the Rona, that Rona. Go ahead and connect here, and I will open up the schema that we've been developing. None of these changes have been pushed up to the repo yet. I know I've been a bad boy on that one. So let's see here. Okay, so here's a couple of things that I needed to change. The first thing that I did was when I looked up uh, GUIDs in the SQL, GUIDs are 16-bit values, which gives them 38 characters of data. And so that's the maximum that a GUID would be um, in this instance. So what I did was I created a table, and I still have the unique ID getting a GUID, but what I'm doing is I'm converting it to a string variable for 38 bytes. And I'm still doing the default setting of the unique ID here. And then I did the same thing down here, made it 38 bytes down there. And also in our list lookup table, I made it 38 bytes there. And also here, everywhere that I had it in our SQL table. That's the first correction that I made. And I haven't tried this with the stored proc yet, but I will here momentarily. The other thing that I did was instead of just doing a select star, what I did was I spelled out all of the individual values that are coming back from the SQL database. So like U list ID, S item name, U unique ID, all that kind of stuff. So I'm spelling out all of those variables. Next, let me go to my SQL, my .NET solution. And that's opening up there. So you'll see I did spell out all of the SQL here like I did before. Um, the next thing that I did was I changed up this Dapper query a little bit so that it uses query and it was using select items model like it should be. But I also created put the scalar variable right here, and I don't think I need that anymore. I don't need that anymore. Yeah, I can get rid of that. I can get rid of this. I can get rid of that. That's not needed anymore because we're doing it down below. Um, so basically the way this works is you pass in your SQL, you have your scalar in here, and then your scalar takes on this property right here. So I'm passing in my model, I'm passing in the date from the model into the scalar variable, and then that sets the scalar variable and looks up and does my query. So that's the first thing that I did. The second thing that I did was I cast this to a list of select items model, and I didn't really have to do that, but you know, it's a list of models, so it's an enumerable of models. So I'm returning, I will return this list. So I could probably take this off of here, and then instead of returning null, at SQL, and then up here, I've got to, that's a list of exec SQL, enumerable of select items model, ret SQL, and let's go ahead and do that. There, save that. And so what's going to happen is, like we said before, and that's why when we were looking at it, I was able to see the right number of rows coming back from the table, but I wasn't seeing the columns come back with the data. So let me run this and I'll show you what's happening here. um, wake up, wake up. All right, so I click load. I get my list back of rows. I choose a list, and now let me hit F10 and get into this list here. So now when I go in here, I can see here's all of my data that comes back from my table. And then here's my unique list ID. And if I do a query in my SQL table for that list, close this here, SQL query, close you, use shopping lists, and select star from items where you know what? I think I'm using the wrong. I'm using the wrong table again here. I need to just drop that other table. Use grocery list, and then say select star from shopping lists where equals bam. And see, now we've got all 36 rows of our data back with that list. Now that seems a bit much though, because if I go back look, 36 rows of data. Oh, that's because I didn't do the date. That's why. And the date was 12/8. So go back to that. And t added date equals 20/20/12/08. I should get back 8 rows of data. And there's my 8 rows with all of my stuff there. And they've got the same list ID. And the reason why they have all the list ID is because yesterday I was inserting all these, rows with the same list ID. That wouldn't happen in real life. Uh, so yeah. So then I come in here, I return my SQL, and this should be a list of items that would come back right there. So let me go back here. Load, do that. F5, and I should have my 8 items there, and I do. So now it's just a matter of parsing out this data and then putting it into the table. So let's do that next step. Let's do a little bit more labeling here of what we've got going on here. So in the first step here, we get a compiled list of rows by date. That's the first thing we do. Here, we display the list of rows by date to the user. They choose one, populate the date and the ID. Actually, this isn't populate, this is store the date. Store the date requested by user. Here, we get all rows by date from SQL table. And then here, what we're going to do is we're going to add our data into our SQL table. So let's go to that particular method. Minimize that. Add SQL records here. So this is where we would leave off at. Start there. Load. Boom. Click. So now I have a list of these models here, and all I need to do is go into each row, each model, and then I add that model into the table. 11, 10, 10, 11, reinitializes, and we should see a list of, bam, there we go. So that's what we got going on there. Yeah, that's cool. Now it's going to be the same for all of those because I just have them all the same. So if I go over here to my table here and I update, copy that, update shopping lists, set item name to pairs. And set item quantity to 2. Set item price to 3. No, $3. Set taxable to not taxable, and updated by to me, dated date to today is the 13th, I believe, 2020, 12/13, where the unique ID equals that one, 5. Yep. So now, if I come back through here and I re-request the same date, I think this is the one I chose. And F5, F5. One of these, there's pairs. There's $3 for 2. Now, we'll have to recalculate our totals because what did I say? What did yeah. So that should be $6 there. Item quantity, item price. Yeah, we'll have to mess around with the price there. Um, so yeah, but that's how it would work. So anytime there's an update to the table, this table, you would pull it back, and you can do that in real time. So if I go back and I say, oh no, the price of pears is at $3, it's $3.25, right? And I update this, and I come back over here and I reload this list. Now we did have, well, there's a 325 right there, but we do have a problem here because I've loaded the same list twice, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So let's close this. And so in here, in our main form, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to clear out this list. Now, there's only so much validation and stuff that we can do. Now we can prompt the user to say, hey, if that list has rows in it, are you sure you want to reload a new list? So let's do that here. Let's go to load list, and we can say if item data rows count greater than 0, then I want to prompt the user to say, warning, if you do this, you're going to overwrite your data. And let's say message box, yes, no. We'll say warning. Reloading list can result in lost data. Are you sure? You want to do this? And say, well, this will be the caption will be load rows from SQL. And if they say yes, yes, then what's going to happen is, like, okay, we're going to go ahead and just give you the server items. Else, we're going to reprompt them and say, save, click save to save data. Save data. And this will be message box buttons dot okay. And we don't care about the, what we'll do is we'll disable the, no, we won't disable it. I mean, because we don't want them to lose data, you know. So if it's greater than 0, else, if it's not greater than 0, we just want to do the load like that. Save that, rebuild the solution, and let's run her. So we say add, say load. This can result in lost data. You sure you want to do this? Say yep. Oh, it didn't. We'll say no. No. There we go. Add that backwards. All right. So let's rerun that again. Add rows. Say yep. You sure you want to do this? Yep. If it equals no. What am I getting there? I had that right. New selection equals yes. Boom, boom. New selection. Oh, the reason why it's doing that is because it's not a string variable. Selection is not a string variable, it's a dialog result. So dialog result, yes. That's what I want right there. That should work, I think. Yep. Okay. Come over here. 5. And we've got our items here. And it didn't really clear out our data. It actually appended the data onto our list. So that actually worked differently than I thought it was going to. So that's actually a that actually might be better because it's adding rows to the data. It's not clearing out the table. So, but what we can do, go back there. What we can do is like, do you want to do this? I mean, it's a good warning to have, even if it doesn't do what we thought it was going to do. So let's go ahead and let's step through kind of a real world item of this. So I'm going to say, let's clear out the table here. So I'm going to run a function, or run a method, command called truncate. Table shopping list. So now there's nothing in the table at all. So I need to go here and we're going to add our items and we're going to come down to our add items method. And instead of doing that, list rows. Well, let's see what happens here. Let me go back to my logic here. Add server items. Get rows. Get list items. That adds SQL. I wonder what's going to happen. See, I think I'm going to get an error here. Let's try this now that I've cleared out the table. Load. Yep, there's nothing there. Yep, okay. So let's go back to our logic and let's do that again. And so we don't have a count of rows here. So we need to put some logic around this and say if list rows dot count wait a minute here. What's going on here? If list rows dot oh, that's why. Get list rows. Get list rows. It's in the DAO. Get list rows. Right there. So that's not doing what I thought it was going to either. Let's go back. Oh, it's not liking something. I don't have a condition there. There we go. Let's see what that's returning actually. What are you returning? 0. Yeah. Hmm. Well, to list? No. What's going on here? It's always lovely when you have some unexpected stuff happening here. Okay, so IEnumerable of get lists model, turn SQL, get list rows, get list model. Well, what the heck's going on here? You know what? I think I know what's going on. Do I not have... Oh, that's why. I'm missing something. Anybody want to guess what it is? When you're trying to do link on a object, you need link. Okay, let me go back down here and try her again here. Okay, so if list rows dot to dot count greater than 0, then I want to do this logic. I only want to do this logic if that's 0. If this isn't, if there are no rows there, then what I need to do, and let's see what happens here. Okay, so boom, 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 boom. Nothing happens. Okay. So now what I can do is I can say down here, if count is greater than 0, because what I can do, um, instead of doing it less than or equal to 0, else I can say um, this is box dot show no rows returned from database. Means the database is empty, and I can say return false, like so. And hit F5. No rules return. There we go. All day. All day. Alrighty. Now, I can also say if there's no rows in there and um, yeah, if there's no rows there, then I just do that like I did there. So we're good there. Now, what I want to do is I go back up here to low list click, and let's say I want to add items into our list. So this is the other step that we're going to do. Go to add items, which is down here. And I'm just going to copy this one right here. And instead of calling it add items or add server items, I'm going to say insert items. Insert items. And this is going to be a fairly simple one here. We don't need to do that. We don't need to do a lookup because we're just inserting items. Okay, so what we're going to do is get rid of all of this here. I'm missing something here. Something's nope. Okay. Oh, the fam is back here. I should have a salad coming to me here soon. Okay, so I've got to take my table that I have, my item data table. I can do all of this validation here. And actually, let's take this particular method and just create a method for all of the validation here. It might be easier to do because I don't want to. Yeah, so let's make a validation method real quick. Entries. We'll take all of this logic here. Like so. There should just be a validation method there. Take everything under there and put it into chur. And I've got to grab that regex as well. And put you there. And I could probably just put the regex up top here. There, like that. Okay. And I'm going to take these, put them all down here. Clean this up if that's not that. It's not that. And that. There we go. And I'm going to pass in a model, which will be our list model. And down here, I'll just say, get rid of this right here, return true. Bam. Copy that. And come back up here. And say if where'd it go? Where am I at here? There we go. Yeah. Var model, list model. Should just be model there. I've got some redesign to do here. I am actually getting ready to have lunch, so I will come back to this in a bit. Until then, peace and have a blessed one.